Rome was not born in peace, and Nero was not born kind. Before he became one of the most feared rulers in history, he was a quiet boy with a famous name and a dangerous future. A future shaped by ambition, fear, and blood. This is the story of how Nero rose to power, and how his cruel rule began. Nero was born in the year 37 AD. His full name was Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. He was born into a powerful Roman family. But power alone does not make a king. His father died when Nero was very young. His mother, Agrippina the Younger, took full control of his life. She was strong, smart, and ruthless. She wanted her son to rule Rome. Agrippina married her own uncle, Emperor Claudius. This marriage was not about love. It was about power. Claudius already had a son named Britannicus. But Agrippina pushed her way into the palace. She convinced Claudius to adopt Nero as his son. Now Nero was in line for the throne. Agrippina removed anyone who stood in her way. Rivals disappeared. Enemies were exiled. Friends became silent. Then Claudius suddenly died. Many believed Agrippina poisoned him. No one could prove it. But Nero was declared emperor at just 16 years old. A teenage boy now ruled the Roman Empire. At first, Nero did not seem cruel. He was shy. He liked music and poetry. He wanted to be loved. His mother ruled through him. She sat beside him in meetings. She spoke for him. She controlled him. The Roman people were hopeful. They believed a young emperor would bring peace. Nero began his rule with mercy. He reduced taxes. He freed some prisoners. He promised fairness. But behind the palace walls, something dark was growing. Nero wanted freedom. He wanted power for himself. He wanted control. Agrippina refused to step aside. She threatened him. She reminded him that she made him emperor. Nero felt trapped. He felt weak. He felt angry. His advisors whispered in his ear. They told him his mother was dangerous. They told him she would destroy him. Nero made a terrible decision. He tried to kill his own mother. First, he built a boat that would collapse at sea. Agrippina survived. Then he sent soldiers to her home. They stabbed her to death. Nero had crossed a line. Blood was now part of his rule. The boy emperor was gone. A new Nero was born. He became paranoid. He saw enemies everywhere. He trusted no one. He began to punish anyone who spoke against him. Even small insults became crimes. Senators were forced to kill themselves. Noble families were destroyed. Wealth was taken. Fear ruled Rome. Nero loved attention. He performed on stage as a singer. He raced chariots. He demanded applause. People clapped because they were scared. Anyone who laughed or looked bored could be arrested. He built massive palaces. He spent huge amounts of money. Taxes rose. The people suffered. Then Rome burned. A massive fire destroyed much of the city. It lasted for days. Many believed Nero started it. No one could prove it. But Nero used the fire as an excuse. He blamed a small religious group called Christians. This is where the cruelty truly began. Christians were arrested in large numbers. They were tortured. They were killed in public. Some were burned alive. Some were thrown to wild animals. Some were crucified. Nero watched. He smiled. He used human bodies as living torches. He lit his gardens with burning people. Rome was silent with fear. The punishments grew worse. Prisoners were beaten, starved, whipped. Nero enjoyed watching suffering. Anyone who opposed him was removed. Poets, generals, friends. Even his own wife was not safe. He kicked his pregnant wife Poppaea to death in anger. No one dared to speak. The palace became a place of whispers and terror. Nero trusted fewer people each year. He accused others of plotting against him. Many innocent men died. His cruelty became normal. Rome had a ruler who ruled by fear alone. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. The horrors of Nero's punishments were just starting. They begged for mercy. Nero gave them pain. The emperor of Rome had become a monster. What you are about to hear is not legend. It is history, and it ends in blood. After the fire of Rome, Nero's cruelty reached a new level. He no longer hid it. He showed it. He enjoyed it. His punishments were not just about death. They were about fear. They were about control. Prisons filled with innocent people. Many were accused without proof. A single word against Nero was enough. Prisoners were beaten day and night. Food was taken away. Water was limited. Dark cells became their world. Some were chained to walls for weeks. Their wounds rotted. Their cries echoed through the halls. Nero ordered public executions. Not simple ones. Not quick ones. People were tied to poles. Wild dogs were released. The crowd watched in silence. Some victims were covered in animal skins. Then lions were sent to tear them apart. Blood soaked the sand. Nero sat and watched. He ordered crucifixions across the city. Rows of crosses lined the roads. Men, women, and even children hung there. They died slowly. He turned death into entertainment. In his private gardens, he held night shows. People were tied to poles. Oil was poured over their bodies. They were set on fire. Their burning bodies lit the gardens. Guests walked and talked. Music played. Wine flowed. Human beings burned alive as torches. Nero smiled. Christians suffered the most. They were blamed for everything. They were hunted. They were tortured. Some were sewn into animal skins. Then dogs were released to rip them apart. Some were thrown into pits with snakes. Some were forced to fight trained soldiers. With no weapons. Nero wanted screams. He wanted fear. He wanted silence. Rome lived in terror. No one felt safe. Not senators. Not generals. Not friends. Plots were discovered. Real or fake. Nero used them as excuses. He accused powerful men of betrayal. They were forced to kill themselves. Their wealth went to Nero. His greed grew. His cruelty grew. He ordered the deaths of poets, philosophers, teachers, anyone who spoke truth. He killed his own aunt. He killed his stepbrother. He killed his advisors. Even his lovers were not safe. He married a young boy, then had him killed. His mind was breaking. He believed he was a god. He believed he was perfect. He performed on stage. He sang. He danced. No one was allowed to leave. No one was allowed to clap late. Guards watched the crowd. Anyone who looked bored was arrested. Anyone who laughed at the wrong time was punished. Rome was a prison. Taxes became unbearable. Food became scarce. People starved. Nero built golden palaces. He covered walls with gems. He built lakes and gardens. While Rome suffered, anger spread across the empire. Governors rebelled. Soldiers turned against him. The Senate had enough. They declared Nero an enemy of Rome. His guards abandoned him. His servants ran away. He was alone. The emperor who ruled the world had no one left. He tried to escape. He hid in a villa outside the city. Soldiers were coming. He heard hoofbeats. He heard voices. Fear finally found him. He cried. He begged. He could not face capture. He could not face punishment. He asked his servant to help him die. The servant refused. Nero took a dagger. His hands shook. He stabbed himself in the throat. He died slowly. His last words were about his greatness. The people of Rome celebrated. They tore down his statues. They erased his name. They remembered his cruelty. They remembered his punishments. They remembered his victims. Nero was gone, but his horrors lived on. His reign became a warning of what happens when power has no limits, of what happens when cruelty rules, of what happens when fear becomes law. The secret horrors of Nero's punishments were no longer secret. They were history. If this story opened your eyes to the dark side of history, stay with us for more. Subscribe now, like this video, and press the bell icon so you never miss the next hidden truth.